Hey guys,
Hey
how are
guys.
you? We are Amy and Jordan, and we are so glad to be able to welcome you to this free online class, how to build momentum in your photography business. And so we are going to get started in about 2 minutes, but what we would love to do is just take 2 minutes to let everybody else get into the room, get into the chat. If you haven't had the chance yet, go ahead and put your name, where you're from, what kind of photography you do. We are so excited to share some amazing tips about how to build momentum, but we're going to give about 2 minutes just to let everybody get in. Oh my gosh, you guys are
Blythe from Alabama. We've got Lane from Thousand Oaks, California.
North Carolina, Atlanta.
Amy from Kentucky. Good name. We've got, they're coming in
Washington,
so fast.
New Jersey. I'm going to try to read them so fast.
Dan from Texas. Hi. Oh my gosh, they're coming in
DC,
too
Nashville.
fast. I'm seeing some people who are saying what kind of photography they like, which is awesome.
We've got wedding photographers, newborn photographers.
Love that.
Awesome, guys.
Seniors. Oh my gosh. Jenna from Minnesota. Hi. Kathy from California. Oh my gosh. I can't even keep up.
Thank you guys so much for jumping in and just sharing who you are and where you're from. It's so good for us to be able to get to know each other before we get started. So
it makes us feel better. That's for sure.
Yeah. We are nervous people when it comes to this stuff. And so you're just like, all your encouragement and support, it means so much. It's making us like feel, whew, okay, we can do this.
Madison from Missouri. Hello. Rhonda from Illinois. Maya from Florida.
Awesome. Welcome, you guys. Okay, so we are going to, in just a second, we're going to go ahead and get started. And so you, in just a moment, will not see our faces anymore, but you will be able to hear our voices and you will be able to see our slides. So give us just 2 seconds to kind of make that transition, and then we will dive into the content right away because we know that you're here to learn how to build momentum in your photography business. So give me just 2 seconds to switch that over, and then we will see you guys really, really soon. All right, here we go. You're not going to see us anymore. Bye. All right, you guys, welcome to this free online class, Build Momentum in Your Photography Business. We are Amy and Jordan, and we are absolutely so excited to have you with us. Before we get started, let's just go through the agenda for this free online class just to make sure that we are all on the same page before we get going. And so we just want to let you know what you can expect from us in our time together. The first is that this is a free class, and we believe in promises made and promises kept. And so in this free class, we are going to show you some practical ways, some tangible, applicable ways to build momentum in your photography business that you can start applying this week. The second thing that's going to happen is if you stick around with us until the end, we have a really special offer just for those of you who are here with us as a thank you from us to you for giving us an hour of your time. The next thing that is going to happen is there is going to be a time of bonus Q&A. So if you stick around through the class, you stick around through the special offer, we are going to give you more of our time just as a thank you where you can ask questions that come to mind during our class, as well as other business questions that you might have for us. Now, we won't be able to answer every single question, but we will try to answer as many questions as we possibly can. The next thing I just want to mention is that this is a safe place. It's really important to us that this is a safe place to learn. Sometimes when we all get behind our screens, we forget that there are real human beings behind every single name. And we just ask that if you're going to be a part of this free online class, that you commit to staying positive, kind, and humble when that chat comes back on. And so whether you're just getting started or whether you're a seasoned pro, let's just remember one thing. We all started at the very beginning. And so let's treat each other with compassion and with kindness so that everyone can feel comfortable to ask questions during the Q&A without any fear of judgment. We can already tell just from hanging out with you guys for a few minutes in the chat that you are those kind of people, and we are just so excited to have you with us. The next thing I just want to mention is this is a time to eliminate distractions. We know that your time is valuable. We know that you're busy. You got a million things going on, and we're so honored that you would be here with us and give us some of your time. And since you made a sacrifice to be here, we want to make sure that you get the most you possibly can out of your time with us. And we know the things that we're going to teach you are going to make an immediate difference in your business. And so what we would ask for you to do is right now, close all the other windows that are on your computer. If you need to close the door or put on headphones, go ahead and do that. If you need to turn off your phone, your email dings, any notifications that might distract you from being fully present in learning, grab a notepad or something to take notes with and we will take care of the rest. Sometimes because we are streaming over the internet, technical difficulties do arise, like your screen freezing or the feed going out for a second. And so what we would ask, if that happens to you, try refreshing your page. Make sure that you're using Google Chrome as your browser. And if that doesn't work, just try logging out and logging back in.
So we just wanted to take a second to introduce ourselves. If you're meeting us for the first time, we're Amy and Jordan. We're a husband and wife team. We run a thriving photography business serving clients we love. But we didn't start that way. At the beginning of our marriage, we were actually newlywed elementary school teachers. We actually taught at the same school in next door classrooms. I taught 4th grade and Jordan taught 5th grade, which is actually around the same time that I fell in love with photography, and I quickly roped Jordan in. So in those early years of our marriage, we worked our full-time day jobs as elementary school teachers, and then we also worked nights and weekends to build our photography business from the ground up, turning our part-time hustle into our full-time 6-figure dream. And that's come with some really cool things like freedom and flexibility to live the type of life we've wanted while serving incredible people. And it's come with some moments that we never could have imagined when we got started, like getting flown overseas for portrait sessions, shooting a celebrity wedding featured in People magazine, and photographing a wedding over $1 million in budget. And while accomplishing all of those dreams has been really fun, it hasn't been nearly as fulfilling as helping other photographers accomplish theirs. And that's the thing about us, is that we were teachers first. We're always going to be teachers. And so even though we left our physical classroom, teaching is always going to be our life's work. And that's why we're so excited to have you here for this online training. So let's dive right into how to build momentum in your photography business, because we want to think through when photographers are asking us for help in their businesses, it's usually one of two really big problems. The first question we hear all the time from photographers is a simple one. It's maybe one you're wondering right now, which is, how the heck do I get clients? That was one of the main questions we were grappling with when we first got started. And then for the people that out there already getting clients, there's normally another problem, which is they're not the right type of clients, right? They're not the type of clients that value what you do. Maybe you're looking to raise your prices, but instead you're getting clients who are constantly looking for deals and discounts, or telling you that you're too expensive. And so we want to talk about exactly those things and how to build momentum to combat those things, find the right types of clients, and book your calendar full with those clients, because we remember exactly what that was like, because we started our business from ground zero. Like we mentioned before, we were teaching elementary school full time. So we had this huge dream of running our photography business, but at the beginning we had nothing. We had no money, we had no experience, and we definitely didn't have any clients. And not only that, we were living off one teacher's salary. So we just did not have money to spend on advertising. So we couldn't just go buy ad space on The Knot or Yelp or any of those other sites that help you get in front of people. We couldn't buy expensive print ads in a magazine or banners on a website. You know, we couldn't rent space at a bridal show or any of the traditional ways that you would think about finding clients as a photographer. We just didn't have the money to spend on those types of things. So in fact, when we look back on our business, we've actually never once spent any type of money on advertising to our photography clients in any capacity. So where did we turn first? Social media. We want to talk about social media because one, social media is free, big perk, right? And it doesn't cost us a thing to be able to build momentum in our business through social media. And I think the funny thing is about social media that the average Instagram user or Facebook user has about 150, somewhere between 150 and 300 friends or followers at the beginning, which in the digital age, that might not seem like much, right? Sometimes in the photography world, we get too focused or caught up on numbers, but think about this for a second. Let's say you have 150 people that are your friends on Facebook or that are your friends on Instagram. I want you to imagine for a second that all 150 of those people are lined up around your house or wherever you live, and you think about each and every one of those people. That's a lot of people to be able to reach, and to be able to reach them for free is huge, right? But here's the thing. You might be thinking, well, great, I'm already on social media, and we hear you. Most people are on social media, right? But being on social media is not a strategy, because social media is just a tool. So the only way that we can build a powerful business through social media is if we have really solid strategies for social media. Being on social media just isn't enough. So we want to share with you some of the strategies that we've used to build momentum when we didn't have any, when we were those elementary school teachers who didn't have any clients and didn't have any experience. How are we able to build momentum? Before we could do that, we have to know what our goal is on social media. So we have to ask ourselves, why are we on social media and what do we want to accomplish with social media? And so here's a really important thing to know is statistics show that even in this digital age, even in the world of social media, most referrals that result in a sale still come from good old-fashioned word of mouth. And I think that it's funny because I think we can all get so caught up in thinking everything gets done online. And we believe that our online tools are just that, tools to help us build word of mouth in person. Because in our experience, the best clients, the type of clients who really value what we do, the ones we want to pack our calendars with, those clients come to us through solid word of mouth referrals. So that begs the question, if our goal is in social media is to help people know how to talk about us in person in their circle, but in the beginning for us, who the heck was talking about us? When we were first getting started, who was talking about us? And when we thought about that, we didn't have, we didn't have a local fan base. We didn't have people following along. So who the heck was going to be following us on social media and talking about us? If we need those solid word of mouth referrals, who's going to start the word of mouth referral campaign? And we realized that there was something we underestimated severely at the beginning of our business, which was our personal network. We really believe that our personal network is our most powerful network. And it's easy not to think of them that way because your personal network, these are the people you've known your entire life. These are the people that live in your local area. It's people in your mom's groups or, the ones you chat with in the pickup line at school. It's the ones at the hair salon or, at your kid's soccer game. It's the ones who are at your office every single day. These are your personal network. It's people that you knew in high school or people who you knew in college, the people at your church or the people in your neighborhood. These are the people that were the first type of people who cared about our business and were talking about our business, the first types of people who are following along on social media. And we realized these are actually our best chance at referrals at the beginning, these local people who live in our area. So if we know this, now we have to ask ourselves this, what is our personal network actually saying about us? Let's say they have the chance to talk about us. Let's say someone that you know is at a party and someone else is looking for a photographer. What might that person say about you? When we think about that question for us, if you had asked anyone who knew us at the beginning of our business to describe us, I think they would probably say something like this, if we're being honest, like, oh yeah, Amy and Jordan. Oh yeah, I think they're like a newly married couple. I think they like photography. Yeah, they're my friends with a camera. They're really nice. If you think about those words, it's really not the most glowing endorsement, right? It doesn't really scream value or high-end prices or like, gotta book this photographer now, right? It's not exactly the most glowing review. So we just want you to pause for a minute right here and ask yourself honestly, if your personal network, the people who you're friends with on Facebook, the people who you're friends with on Instagram, the people who already know you, what might they say about you right now? Think about it for a second. Just like take 30 seconds to think about how they would take 30 seconds to describe you. Do you think they would describe you as like, oh yeah, busy, in demand, professional photographer, you've got to work with them, they're the best in the biz? Is that the type of language that people who know you would say? Or are you their friend with a camera? Are you their nice friend who likes to take pictures? Because if we're being honest, we were the nice friends who like to take pictures. And while there's nothing wrong with that per se, that's not the type of narrative that we want our personal network to be talking about us if we're looking to attract huge momentum in our business? And so we had to start asking ourselves, okay, how do we get people talking about us in the right way? How do we get those people who are already following along to stop thinking of us as their friends with a nice camera, right? So one of the answers to that is that we realized that we had to use social media to shift our narrative. And what we mean by narrative is we simply just mean the story that people think of when they think of our name. So when people thought of Amy and Jordan, we're pretty sure they just thought of like, oh yeah, the new married couple who likes taking pictures. I think they might teach elementary school. I think they have a nice camera. That's not necessarily the narrative that's going to book our calendar full of clients we love, right? But what we know is that in any great business, consistent messaging is really effective. And so we don't have big PR teams. We don't have anybody doing advertising for us. We're going to have to be the PR team on social media, and we're going to have to shift the narrative for our personal network. And here's one thing that was really important for us is we had to stop thinking of our social media accounts as quote unquote personal. I think a lot of us cling to the idea of personal accounts like, oh, this is my personal Facebook account. This is my personal Instagram account. But if we're going to be really strategic about using social media in its free capacity to reach people, and we know that our personal network are the people who can send referrals our way, then we have to start training our personal network how to talk about us in a completely new way. So if we're really going to harness that, we have to stop thinking that our accounts are personal. We need to start thinking of every single account on social media as a way for us to shift a narrative, to be able to teach people how to talk about us in a way that's going to send raving fans our way. So we needed to be able to tell these people that we were passionate photographers who loved each other, that we were really busy with work and loved working with our clients. These were the types of messages that we wanted to send. And the other thing we had to realize is that social media is just a series of impressions over time, because that's really the funny thing about social media, right? If we think about the amount of time that we all think about what we post on social media, we spend a long time thinking about that, right? But how much time do you think about what someone else posted on social media? How much time do you give them? It's mostly like a tap, 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 scroll, scroll. It's like a quick movement of your thumb, and then you've moved on to the next person, right? So if we recognize that the people in our life, they're busy, they've got a lot going on, they're scrolling social media, the same way that we are, that we only have a couple seconds to make an impression. So we have to understand that we're going to make a consistent impression only if we do it over a series of time. So recognizing that, people don't really pay a lot of attention. So you have to tell them a lot if you want them to remember something. Telling them one time that you're a professional photographer just isn't enough, right? And we have to embed it into who we are so that as soon as people hear our names, they're thinking about us, and not as the friends with a nice camera, but as the in-demand professional photographers that you have to have at your next portrait session or at your next wedding. So let's talk about this idea. This one was huge for us, is we recognized that we had to use social media to demonstrate that we were in demand. And now this is a funny one because at the beginning of our business, we weren't in demand, right? So
no demand,
literally no demand,
zero demand.
So if you're out there being like, well, I don't know how to demonstrate that I'm in demand because I'm not in demand, we feel you. That's where we were at the beginning of our business. Nobody was demanding anything from us. They didn't want portrait sessions. They didn't want weddings. But we had to figure out how to start creating that demand, because we would look at big, successful businesses way bigger than a small photography business. We're talking about the biggest ones like Apple, for example. Let's think about Apple. Every time Apple releases a new product, whether it's like the new iPhone or the do you call it an iWatch? I don't know. I feel like you put an I in front of everything. iPad, iWatch, iPhone. Whenever they're releasing the new something, everybody goes nuts, right? There are people wrapped around their buildings. There's people camping out. People are posting on social media. There's all this buzz. There's news articles. It's like this mass excitement goes on every time Apple releases something new. And you see all these people lining up because they have to have the rose gold iPhone, right? And when you see that, how does it make you feel about the iPhone? How does it make you feel about the value of the iPhone? Does it make it feel more valuable or less valuable seeing all the buzz and all the excitement and all the other people that are getting the iPhone? It makes you want the iPhone more, right? It makes the iPhone more valuable simply because everybody's got to have it. It's like that restaurant that everybody wants to go to. It's just more valuable. You'll pay a little more for your entree because it's packed with people and everyone wants to be there. That demand increases our value. So if we can find a way to demonstrate the demand, that demand is going to demonstrate two really important components to booking any type of session, whether it's a portrait session or a wedding session, because demand demonstrates value and trust. And these are the two things that are going to allow us to charge the prices that we deserve for our work and also get people to actually make the decision to book, because the number one decision or the number one factor in that decision-making process is trust. If people can trust us, they're much more likely to go ahead and book a session or book a wedding. And here's the funny thing. If you think about Apple, right? Nobody walks into Apple and tries to haggle on the price of the iPhone, right? No one's asking for a discount. Nobody's asking Tim Cook if he wants to build his portfolio, right? Or like no one is like, hey, Tim Cook, like you might remember me from high school, messaging on Facebook. Like, I was wondering what you would charge me for this. I was hoping this discounted session, right? We've all had those Facebook messages, right? Where Tim Cook doesn't get Facebook messages like that. Why? Because Apple demonstrates so much demand and so much value and so much trust for their company that people know, hey, this thing is valuable and it's worth investing in. And that's what we want people to think about our photography business, is this is worth investing in. This is really valuable, because that demand allows us to have those higher prices and allows us to have clients who are willing to pay them because they see the value in it. Okay, now let's get back to our big problem, right? We were not in demand. We were elementary school teachers with no clients. So how on earth on social media are we supposed to show that we're in demand photographers when we're not, right? I think this one stumped us for a while. We were not in demand. Maybe you're in that place where you're like, yeah, I'm not really in demand either. We've got really good news for you. It's an idea that is kind of terrifying and kind of empowering all at once. And that idea is that perception isn't reality. It's the only reality. And see how that can be a little terrifying or a little empowering, depending on how you look at it. What this idea simply means is that what people perceive to be true is what's true to them. So if people perceive that you're really busy and that you're working all the time with different clients, that's the reality to them. So we realized that one of our main strategies on social media to build momentum would be to demonstrate that we were in demand before we were actually in demand. So here's what that looked like practically. Here's how you can do the same thing in your business. Maybe you only have one portrait session this entire month. We remember exactly what that was like. Or maybe you have one wedding in the next 2 months. We remember exactly what that was like. So we realized that we had to take the few jobs that we did have and we had to really stretch them out on social media, like really stretch them out and be as intentional as we could to get as much credit for these few jobs that we had as possible, mixing it up as much as possible. So here's what I mean stretching it out. So let's say you've got one portrait session or one wedding coming up. One thing we might post on social media is a photo of us location scouting. So it could be the location of a portrait session. It could be a spot that we want to photograph. And we could, write a caption about like, out location scouting today. Can't wait to get a cute couple in front of our cameras in this spot, or can't wait to get our next client here. So that might be a way to get started. And then from there, maybe we have another post the next day where we're prepping our gear. And we, for example, we have two cats, Mr. Carson and William Wallace. A lot of times when we're prepping our gear, they like to climb into our camera bags. It always makes for a fun picture. So we might post one of our cats climbing into our bags and talking about how, we're getting our gear ready. We can't wait for our next portrait session. It doesn't matter when our next portrait session is. Our next portrait session could be tomorrow. It could be a week from tomorrow. It could be in 3 weeks, right? We're still excited. We're prepping our gear in advance. We used to do this when we didn't have very many clients. So maybe it's prepping gear. Maybe when you get to your session, it's the one session you've got this month, make sure to get a great behind the scenes shot of you shooting with your clients. Now, this, of course, is always a little easier for me and Jordan because there's 2 of us there. So one of us gets in front of the camera, one gets behind with a cell phone, but there's lots of creative ways to make this work if you're a solo shooter too. You can hand the phone to one of your clients. You can have an assistant come with you or a friend, family member. Sometimes we've even had like strangers walking by. Hey, would you mind grabbing a quick photo of this?
Our best recommendation for this, if you want a behind the scenes photo and you're in like a semi-crowded place, look for a millennial girl. Because every time we're like, hey, would you mind taking a quick behind the scenes photo for us? You know, take like 10 or 20, whatever you think. They're usually really good at taking those photos. And their photography is actually at a pretty high level compared to the general public. And they're usually really enthusiastic and totally pumped to do it and to help us out. And so our best recommendation, if you don't have someone, you don't have an assistant, you don't have a second shooter, find a millennial girl.
Good tip. Next is I just wanted to share with you this side by side. This photo that you're seeing on the left is from January 2013. This is when Jordan and I were still teaching elementary school, but we were also trying to get our business off the ground. We did not have very many weddings, so we stretched out what we had. And here's a photo of us working with a groom on a wedding day. It was one of our only wedding days that whole year, right? So we were going to make sure to get a great photo of it. You'll see that we had 7 people like it. I think at least 3 of them were related to us.
Maybe 4.
So if you're at the beginning of your business, we know exactly what that's like. You can scroll back on our Instagram and see this exact post. You can also see that even in more recently, we're doing the same stuff on our Instagram. We've been doing this all along because this shows what? It shows that we're busy. It shows that we're in demand. What you see in both of these photos are clients trusting us, and it creates the Apple wrap around the building effect in our photography businesses. So these photos are communicating demand. So let's continue on stretching it out, right? After you have the session, well, now you can post a sneak peek. So that sneak peek can really help stretch out your portrait session. And from there, we might even post a photo of us with our clients. This is another one. Again, what does this say? Here's people who trust us. Here's people who value what we do. And this is going to raise the value in the eyes of potential clients. We also make sure to post whenever we put our clients on the blog. It gives us another excuse to share another photo. We're trying to, if it's a portrait session, maybe we're showing a different outfit or a different location. For a wedding, we can show maybe like a detail, like a ring or a bouquet, and then we show the bride and groom. Then maybe we show the bridesmaids. We're really trying to stretch it out and make every job look as different as possible. Another thing we could do is just simply mention the day that we're sending off a client gallery. Again, just stretching out what we've got so that we're constantly talking about being professional photographers. Because remember, our goal is to take our personal network and get into their subconscious. We're trying to get them to think of us as busy, in-demand photographers who are constantly working with clients that we love. So every single one of these posts, most people, remember, aren't even going to put together that if this was all one session, are they really going to think through it? Remember, it's a series of impression over time. They're giving you a couple seconds, but if every single day they're seeing you doing the thing that you love, photography, that message is seeping into their subconscious and it's making it easier for them to talk about you when they're out places. So basically the main idea here is if you're working in any way, get credit for it. Show what it looks like to work behind the scenes. Show what it looks like when you're with clients. Every single time you post something like this, you're upping the value because you're demonstrating your demand. And one thing that we started doing is sharing our professional work consistently, even when we didn't have any new work to share. And that can be a little challenging at the beginning because it doesn't feel as natural. I think especially at the very conception of Instagram, right? It was supposed to be like what's happening in this instant. But the nice thing about being able to upload photos from any time onto Instagram is that things don't have to be instant. we can show older work and we can mix things up and share our heart for what we're doing and post things about what's going on in our life. And if we're being consistent about sharing our professional work constantly, now our personal network it's seeping into their subconscious. Oh, Amy and Jordan, man, they're really busy professional photographers. They're always working with new clients. And if you're feeling like, oh man, but you just don't know where I'm at, like I'm just learning social media, it's a little scary for me, I don't really know what to post. We feel you. We're going to show you something that will make you feel 100 times better. And that's my very first grid. If you go and follow at Amy Demos on Instagram right now with a little underscore in between, you can literally, I don't recommend doing it right now because it will take a long time, but you can scroll all the way back to the very beginning of our business. This was my first grid. This was what our social media looked like before we were implementing these strategies, before we had strategies for social media and realized what a powerful tool it could be for building momentum in our business. And now things look a little different, right? The grid has changed a little. Now we know that we're telling a consistent story and we know exactly our strategies on social media. So whenever we're posting on social media, we want to make sure that we're varying the types of shots we're posting and finding ways to share our heart as we go. Because if you don't have anything new to post, anything current, go back into your archives, find your old photos, share your old stuff, and maybe you're just sharing something about how you love shooting in the golden light, or you love capturing the joy of your clients. If every single day you can be mentioning something about photography or you doing what you love, that's going to start seeping into people's subconscious and shaping the way that they think about you and shifting that narrative that we were talking about before. And here's the crazy thing about social media is we really believe that social media is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, I know that sounds kind of like big and scary or like it belongs in a Harry Potter novel, but what we mean by social media—
I feel like we need Morgan Freeman to say that. Social media is a self-fulfilling prophecy. That was a really bad Morgan Freeman. That was bad.
Impression?
Oh
boy. Oh gosh.
That's why he's Morgan Freeman.
And we are not. So social media, a self-fulfilling prophecy. That was my really bad attempt. See, good thing. Yeah, we're obviously not professional impersonators. Thank goodness for that. So the idea of social media being a self-fulfilling prophecy is here's what started to happen in our business. The more we started to demonstrate that we were in demand when we weren't in demand, by doing all the things we just talked about, stretching things out on social media and constantly sharing a message that people could remember, over time, we actually started getting more busy because of that Apple wrap around the building effect. People were seeing us work with people. It was raising the value of what we did. They were seeing people trust us. It made them trust us. And we kept getting busier and busier. And then we didn't have to stretch things out as much. We actually had to tone things down so that we weren't overwhelming our network with the same things over and over and over again. So when we say social media is a self-fulfilling prophecy, is over time, when we started demonstrating that we were in demand, we actually became in demand. And I think one of my favorite stories that really illustrates this is I'll never forget the time that we got an email from a bride who had just been proposed to. So earlier that afternoon, her fiance, her boyfriend, had got down on one knee, proposed to her. And after the proposal, he had planned a surprise party for all of her friends and family so everyone could celebrate their new engagement. You know, she had the sparkly ring on her finger, and one friend at the party ran up to her, hugged her, congratulated her, looked at the ring, and then said, "Have you called Amy and Jordan yet?" And the bride's eyes got really big and she said, "No." And her friend said, "Oh my gosh, you need to call Amy and Jordan right now because they're like busier than God." And she put all this in her email to us. And when we got this email, Jordan and I were laughing hysterically. First of all, because, you know, I think God is just a little busier than us, right?
He's got like war, thirst, starvation,
world peace. Like he's really working on a lot, right?
We might be busier than Morgan Freeman, but not God.
I feel like Morgan Freeman is also a pretty busy guy.
He's always making documentaries.
So this idea of her friend like running up to her and being like, "Oh my gosh, if you don't call Amy and Jordan the night you get engaged, you're not going to get on their calendar." That is the best word of mouth that we could possibly ask for. It's better momentum than we could ever buy in a magazine ad or in a banner ad, because that type of word of mouth referral from someone that our bride loves and trusts, that is going to immediately get her emailing us, wanting to book us. And that bride is not going to be emailing us, asking us if we have discounts. She's going to be asking us if please, 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 are we available on her date? And do you hear the difference in the tone there? That is the type of momentum that we're looking for in our business. So now we want to talk about that idea of attracting higher paying clients. So now that we've talked about all the things that we can do on social media, we want to talk about images in a lot of different ways. We want to talk about website, our blog, and our social media, and really pay attention to the images here, because this is a question that we get asked about so frequently. We're really excited to address this one. Is one of those big questions is, how do I start attracting higher paying clients? I've got some clients now, but I really want to raise my prices, and I need to know how to attract those clients and move up in price point. And we remember exactly that feeling as well. And so, of course, there are a lot of answers to this question. We could teach about this one question for hours and hours and hours. But one of the biggest keys to attracting higher end clients is to become an expert curator. And what we mean when we say curator is the exact same way that you would think about a museum curator. Because, you know, a museum curator's job is to decide what pieces of art will be displayed on the gallery walls, right? It's a curator's job to decide which pieces of art will be next to which pieces on the walls. They determine, you know, when you enter the museum, what do you see first? How's the flow of the museum going to go? When you start walking through the halls, what are you going to see when you turn the corner? The success of a whole museum can really rise and fall on a curator's decisions, right? And so we really believe that one of the biggest keys to running a successful photography business where you can attract higher paying clients is learning how to become an expert curator. And we'll never forget when this was really illustrated for us was on a recent trip to France. Jordan and I were staying at this really cute Airbnb that was in the middle of the French countryside. It looked like it was straight out of like Downton Abbey or Beauty and the Beast, something so different from where we live. And so we happened to be having breakfast. This is actually a photo from the dining room of that Airbnb. And we were having breakfast at this big table. It looked, you know, felt like Lady Mary should be dining there. Very Downton Abbey-like. And as we were sitting there eating breakfast, another American couple who was staying at the B&B came down the stairs, and they were about our age, and they were speaking English. If you've ever traveled abroad or spent any time in a place where they're not speaking your language, then you know what it's like when you stumble across anybody who speaks the same language as you. You're like instant best friends, right? That's how it was for us. So they sat down at this table, and the four of us had breakfast together, and they were another couple that was like around our age. And the husband especially was like just a really cool looking guy. He like had a big long beard and like gauges and tattoos and just looked like way cool, especially compared to us.
Yeah, I kind of imagine like the opposite of me in every possible way.
That was this guy. And they were so sweet. So we were just having a good time getting to know them, talking through them. We were just all making polite small talk, and we were talking about our itineraries and where we were going next. And we mentioned that we had just come from Paris, because now we're in the countryside, but we had been in Paris before that. And so when they heard that we were in Paris, they asked us about the flooding, because at the time there had been some really severe flooding in Paris that had made international news. Everybody was talking about the floods in Paris. And so they were supposed to go to Paris next. And so they were asking us about what the conditions were like. And we told them the flooding really wasn't as bad as it seemed all over the news. In our experience, as we were walking around, it didn't really affect us at all. But we told them that we actually read this really crazy news story about how the threat of the flooding was so real that they were evacuating all of this really valuable art from the basement of the Louvre. And now the Louvre is the most popular museum in the world, right? right? And so I made a remark offhand at the table. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe that they store such valuable art, like the most valuable art in all the world, in the basement. And so now they're like rushing to get it out because they're afraid the floods are going to destroy all this amazing artwork that's stored in the basement. And I was like, it seems like they could find a better place to store things than in the basement, just kind of offhand. And at this moment, this guy really surprised me across the table because he told us, he was like, oh yeah, that's really common. And I was like, oh yeah, how do you know that? And he said, I'm actually a museum curator for a living.
And we were like, the tatted bearded Gage guy?
We were like, what? Like, we definitely were guilty of like stereotyping a museum curator as like a sweet old grandmother who's like studied art her entire life.
And has a name tag.
And has a name tag and like a cardigan. And this guy, with his gauges in his ears and his beard and his tat, he just was like way opposite of what we thought of when we thought of a museum curator. But when we found out that we were sitting at breakfast with an American curator for a big museum, we just started peppering him with questions. And so we just spent the rest of the breakfast getting to know him. And I just wanted to share with you the one big piece of information that we think perfectly illustrates a photographer's job, and something that was just so fascinating when we heard it. He said, 80 to 90% of my museum's collection is in the basement. And to me, that was kind of shocking. It was his job to organize all of these beautiful masterpieces, and most of it was going to stay in the basement. And only a little bit, maybe 10, maybe 20% was going to be displayed on the gallery walls. And when we heard that, it was such an aha moment in a way that illustrated for us something that we really believe changed the trajectory of our entire business years before that. And it's something that we believe what we all need to do as photographers. This was one of the biggest problems that we had early on in our business, is we were not doing this huge momentum builder. And here's a couple things that really helped change this for us. Is at the beginning of our business, we had a victim mentality, if I'm being honest. And what I mean by victim mentality is we would look around at the types of weddings and the types of portrait sessions that other successful established photographers were shooting, and they looked so much more high-end than ours. Like at a wedding, the details were so much more beautiful, the flowers, the decor. It was stuff that we couldn't even dream of shooting. Or we would see a portrait photographer who was getting flown across the country or flown across the world for this epic like destination portrait session. And we would think to ourselves something like this: oh, well, if we got to shoot in Hawaii, our photos would look great too.
I mean, obviously their photos look good. That's an amazing venue.
Or if we got to shoot at that wedding, we would, of course, how could anyone mess that up? Look at how beautiful those florals are, right? We used to say things like that in our heads, like there's no way that we can ever produce work like that because we're not shooting weddings like that. Nobody's giving us those type of weddings. And that was really a victim mentality that we had to let go of before our business was going to be able to grow. And we just had to stop making excuses for ourselves. We realized that we were going to have to be the change in our business, that nobody was going to change it for us. Nobody was going to walk up and just hand us the jobs of our dreams, because why would they, right? The crazy thing is, this is a principle that we've actually grown up on our entire life, but for some reason we didn't apply it to our business in those early years. And that principle was something that's near and dear to our hearts, which is the idea that whoever can be trusted with a little can be trusted with a lot. And we realized that we had to prove that we could be trusted with a lot. And the only way we could do that was to take the little and turn it into a lot. Anytime we had a portrait session, anytime we had a wedding, we had to take the little bit that we had, because we didn't have the types of weddings you would see in magazines. We didn't have the types of portrait clients who wanted to fly us anywhere. They were, we had to convince them to drive down the street 10 minutes to meet us for a portrait session. So we had to take what little we had and prove that we could be trusted with more. So we had to stop showing up to a portrait session or a wedding and looking around and thinking, oh, well, kind of shrug and be like, well, there's not much I can do with this wedding, right? That was an attitude that we had that we're really frankly embarrassed of. And we realized we had to let all of that go. And we needed to start being thankful for the jobs that we had, even though we didn't have very many and they weren't the types of jobs that we wanted. We had to make the most of it. We had to start treating every client like they were $1 million client, like they were the type of client that would want to fly us internationally, like they were the type of client that would spend like the equivalent of our life savings on their flowers, right? That we had to start treating every client that way before we were going to be able to earn the trust of those types of clients. So what we want to show you now is a real practical example of that, because I think it's one thing to hear it, it's another thing to see it. So we want to share with you one of our sweetest couples ever who we love dearly with our whole heart, Brant and Anna. And Brant and Anna remind us a lot of us. They didn't have the biggest budget to work with on their wedding day. Just like us, we didn't have barely anything to work with for our wedding day. And so they were making the most of what they had. So we're going to take you behind the scenes of their wedding. And I hope what this does is show you how to practically start curating like a professional curator does by taking everything that's in the basement and choosing what's going to go on the gallery walls. So here, let's go through this together. And we're going to show you some of the things you've never seen on our blog. You've never seen these photos on social media for a reason, but we want to show you the nitty gritty of what was happening, because remember, we weren't shooting those magazine weddings that you think of. So, Brant and Anna got married at their church. The entire wedding was at the church, getting ready, ceremony, reception, and everything in between was at the church. And it wasn't really one of those like Hallmark churches with like a white steeple. It was in like a warehouse, which is very common for where we live here in Arizona. And so Brant, the groom, actually got ready in the choir room. You can see the choir chairs, the risers. These are really precious photos for our client. You can see they're getting their little ring bearer ready. So we're going to shoot these photos the best we can. We're going to include these in the gallery. These are going to stay in our museum basement though, right? So let's keep going through this wedding. Next, the bride got ready in the church's cry room, which is where they send the babies to cry during service. So it was a very tight room. We actually removed a Noah's Ark tapestry from the wall right there. I wish we got a photo of it before we did that. But this is where the bride was getting ready. You'll see here in the photo on the left, we typically recommend that the bridesmaids and mother of the bride get ready before the bride. But in this case, mom didn't have a chance because it was a DIY wedding in a lot of ways. She was running around doing a lot herself. And so she just didn't have time to get dressed. But we wanted to make sure to capture these beautiful moments for our clients, because number one priority of a photographer is to serve and love their clients well and capture memories that are going to fly by. And here you'll see Anna's sister was actually pregnant with their little niece or nephew. So these were really precious moments. We want to make sure to get these photos, but this is the reality of what was going on. Choir room, cry room. During the ceremony, it was a January wedding, but the Christmas decorations were still up. So you'll notice the bridesmaids were wearing blush, but we had the poinsettia plants, we had the purple pews. It was a very dark church. It was one of those churches where they say, you know, do not pass go, do not collect $200, do not pass this point. If you've ever shot at one of those churches, you understand exactly what that anxiety feels like, right? So that was what we were dealing with for the ceremony. And then the reception was also in the church's banquet hall. So you'll see in the background there, you'll see the tapestries of Bethlehem and Jerusalem and the analog clock and the white linens that were part of the church's linen collection. So this isn't necessarily the type of wedding that you would see, you know, in Style Weddings magazine, right? But we had to take what we had and treat our clients like they were $1 million clients. And we had to figure out, okay, how can we on our blog, on our social media, on our website, take a wedding like this, because this was our reality. These were the types of weddings that we were shooting. How could we start attracting that higher end client based on curating? Because remember, it's the curating that's a photographer's most important job when it comes to attracting a higher end client. So even though you know that this is where the groom got ready, These photos are going in the gallery, they're going to the client, but they're staying in the museum basement, right? They're still works of art, they're masterpieces to the clients, but they're not going to help us attract a future higher paying client. But a shot like this could. It's clean, it's detail oriented. You can't tell where we are. This could be at the highest end resort in town, right? It's a much more high end looking shot. When we come to the girls getting ready, same thing. We're going to keep these in the gallery, but these are staying in the basement. Here's what's going on the gallery wall. Here's what's going on our blog. Here's what's going on our website portfolio. Here's what's going in social media are images that speak to a higher end client, right? We're filling the background, we're shooting the details. And instead of focusing on images like this, for the blog, for the website, for social media. Instead, we're going to take photos like that and focus instead on photos like this. We're going to shoot that baby's breath bouquet like it's $1 million bouquet. We're going to shoot this couple in the best light that we can, and we're going to showcase these images on our blog. And I think one really funny thing I just have to share with you is that in these photos that you're seeing right here, this clean, neutral background that we love, we were looking all around the church property trying to find the best spot to get these photos taken for them. And we wanted something that was going to help tell the color story and something that looked high end, even though you know that we were spending most of our time in church risers and cry rooms. But we looked all around the property, and we don't have very many grass or trees or anything like that in Arizona. So this was a very like cemented area. But we found this one sign pointing to a memorial garden. And so our eyes perked up and we were like, oh, garden. Garden. There might be like a bush or a tree.
Maybe 2 trees.
So we followed the signs to the memorial garden, and what we found there was not a bush or a tree, but we found this beautiful stone. But what was on the stone were the names of the deceased, the day they were born, the day that they died, inscribed on the walls. It like kind of didn't cross our mind that the word memorial meant that this was a place to memorialize those who are no longer living. And so we really had to put on our smiling faces and tell this couple like, okay, we've got this great idea. The light is beautiful in here. Like, trust us. These images are going to look awesome. And so all of these images that you're seeing here were taken in the memorial garden, and we were really strategic about cropping out the names that were inscribed of the people who were no longer with us. Sometimes we'd put somebody directly in front of one of those names, or we'd make sure that it would be an easy clone stamp or an easy crop out of it. But we tried to shoot these photos like this was our $1 million career-making wedding, and do this at every wedding and every portrait session. And so the final result is this curated set of images to go on our blog, to go on our portfolio, to go on our website that attracts a higher price point client. We believe that someone with a much higher budget could look at these photos and be attracted to what they're seeing and trust us, because who can be trusted with a little can be trusted with a lot. And if we hadn't been curating this wedding, it could have looked like this. Now, these are all images that the client got as well, but these were the ones that stayed in the basement, just like the museum curator told us, right? 80 to 90% of the images from a day stay in the basement, and we're going to take the very best to put on the gallery walls to attract our higher paying client. And I think the best part about this story for us is we were actually able to submit this wedding and get it published on the Black Tie Bride, which is a national blog known for classic, iconic, beautiful weddings. And I think my favorite thing is straight from the copy of the Black Tie Bride. This is what they wrote about our wedding. All the details are so timeless and lovely. The beautiful couple style is a perfect example of classic romance, which we just love, because the Black Tie Bride doesn't know about the choir chairs, and they don't know about the white linens and the baby's breath candlestick on the one in the banquet hall, right? They don't know about any of that. They saw the curated, the best of the best, the images that belong on the gallery wall, and they fell in love with the wedding. And so I think that lesson changed everything for us. When we started approaching every wedding and every portrait session that way, over time, we started attracting the types of weddings that we only dreamed of. Had the details improved, Absolutely, yes. Had the decor completely changed? Was there less to hide? Absolutely, yes. Were we taking a few more images out of the museum basement and putting a few more on the blog, a few more in our portfolio, a few more on social media? Absolutely, yes. But as we reflect on some of our highest budget weddings, the ones with incredible details and the clients we loved, we think about our approach to every single one of these wedding days, these higher end weddings with these beautiful details. We know that our approach was the same. It was the same on Brant and Anna's wedding day as it was on these other wedding days. And so whether it's a portrait session or a wedding, that approach to curating is going to change the way people value your work, because these are the types of things that are going to make your work look more valuable. So I would like to dive into some really specific practical tips and tricks that you can apply to attract your ideal client during your next blog post, the next time you post images on social media, the next time you're pairing images in your portfolio, the next time that you're piecing a blog post together, whether you're a portrait photographer or a wedding photographer. Here are some of the tips that we use, and let's dive into those right now. So first, whenever we're starting a blog post, we always want to start with a wow image. And early on in our career, we didn't start with it. This would be an example of a wow image for us. But early on in our career, we thought we had to post whatever we shot first. So on a wedding day, this is what we shoot first, right? We normally shoot hair and makeup first. Now, these images are nice. The client loves them. They're going in the gallery, but they are not really the gallery wall wow images the way that these ones are. So we want to start every blog post capturing the attention of a higher paying ideal client from the get-go. So if it's a portrait session, same thing. A lot of times our portrait sessions, the wow images come about an hour into the portrait session. It's normally not the first photos we take. At the beginning of a session, the light isn't normally as good. The clients are a little more nervous. There's just a little less to do with posing at the beginning. I would consider this a wow image from Megan and Chris's portrait session. And while these images are really nice, these images went on the blog too. We didn't start our blog post with these images, even though this was what we started the session with. This was their first outfit. This was the first location. But we started the blog post with this because we want to capture the attention of our ideal client right away, because our goal in every blog post that we do is to make our images look as valuable as possible. It is our goal to demonstrate how valuable and how worth it the investment is anytime you book a portrait session or a wedding with us. Another thing, when we're pairing two images next to each other, it's really important that we make each image look special. Here's what I mean. Here would be a bad example of that. This is something that we would do early on in our business, is we would put two images next to each other that were very similar, or we would post two images on social media that looked too similar right next to each other on the grid, like two bouquets. In this case, there's the bride's bouquet and here's the bridesmaid's bouquet. So these two images look so similar and they're both really pretty images, but your eye can barely tell the difference between the two. And I believe putting these images next to each other makes the whole thing look a little less valuable. So here, if I have two images next to each other that are completely different, it raises the value of both. This is what a great museum curator does. So in a portrait session, I wouldn't put two pictures next to each other like this, even though they're both very cute, they're too similar. I would rather pair two images like this so that both images from the portrait session look really similar. The next thing I'm going to do is pair images with negative space with busier shots. So on a wedding day, that might look something like this. The next thing I want to do is pair detail shots with people shots. Now, this, of course, is a little easier on a wedding day. We've got a detail. We've got our bride with the bridesmaids, people, and a detail. I've got negative space next to a tight shot. Both of these images look really valuable, and them together raises the value and really attracts a higher price point client, as opposed to doing two images like this that are just too similar. I'd much rather have those two detail and a portrait next to each other. Now, at engagement sessions or portrait sessions, it might be a ring shot. That might be the way that we do detail and a portrait. Or if it's not an engagement session, or it's a family session, or it's another type of session, I might hone in on a piece of jewelry or the environment. So here on the beach, just a very simple detail shot, again, makes each of these images just look a little bit more editorial. So that is another thing that I love to do whenever I'm pairing images, because it raises the value of both. Another thing that we like to do is pair wide shots with tight shots. So we don't want to put two tight shots next to each other or two wide shots next to each other, because we're trying to make each image look special and valuable. So here's a tight shot on the right and a wide shot on the left. See how much better this looks than this? See how this just muddies up the eye a little bit? They're both nice photos, but we would rather make each image look more valuable during a portrait session by making sure that we're pairing these together. Another thing we like to do is pair a camera aware photo with a candid shot photo. And here's what I mean by camera aware and candid is one shot looks like they don't even know the camera is there. And the other shot, it's very clear they're looking right into the camera. I love pairing these types of images together as opposed to pairing two where they're looking right at the camera or two where they're looking away. This really helps mix up the variety here and helps add some interest to the blog post or to the portfolio in our website or even to the grid on social media. Another thing I love to do is pair a movement shot with a static shot, which you just saw here. Here's another example at a portrait session where you've got a movement shot with a static shot, static meaning they're standing still. And again, you see camera aware versus candid. See how well these pair together as opposed to two shots where they're both static, they're both camera aware. It's nice, but it's not nearly as nice and interesting and valuable looking as images that are paired this way. Another thing that I'm always focused on when we're putting images together in our portfolio or on our blog is we want to pair images together that are shot in the same type of light. So these are two shots that I love, but one was shot in really golden, dreamy light, and one was shot after the sun was just about set. So I wouldn't pair these two images together because it doesn't look very cohesive or consistent. I'd rather find another shot where the light was the same so that it has that nice flow, just like a museum would have a really nice flow from start to finish. When we are blogging, we never pair or feature more than two images at a time. So we just really believe those photo collages look less high end. So we'll normally do two verticals or one large vertical or one horizontal, and that's it. And then we alternate between those layouts to, again, make everything look special and different, more and more valuable as we go through a blog post. And you can apply all of these same things to a social media grid. Like we talked about before, my social media grid has changed a lot from the beginning of our business until now. You can follow on @Amy_Demos and take a look, but you'll see a lot of those things I was just sharing, you'll notice on social media. You might see a detail next to a portrait. You might see a negative space shot next to a tight shot. You might see details next to florals and that kind of thing. So as you're looking through there, there's a lot of strategy because when someone hits our social media, we want to attract those higher paying clients that see a lot of value in what we do. And so that brings us to our last big momentum builder, which is the question that a lot of photographers ask us is when they start hearing all this, like, oh my gosh, this is kind of a lot of work to demonstrate that I'm in demand on social media and be really strategic about that. And then also be strategic about all this image pairing. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go through my portfolio. There's a lot of changes that I need to make. I need to spend more time paying attention to what I'm posting on social media. I don't have time to do all this, right? How am I going to find the time to actually implement these things? And this brings us to our last big momentum builder. This is something that Jordan and I are really passionate about because when we were getting started, we were building our business while we were working full-time day jobs as elementary school teachers. And if you've ever met a child, you know that's not the easiest day job in the world.
Or if you ever were a child, you know that this is not the easiest day job in the world.
And not only were we working full-time day jobs, Jordan was also coaching youth soccer at our church on nights and weekends to make extra money to help us buy gear. So we were balancing full-time, exhausting day jobs, plus another job, plus the job of trying to build our business from the ground up. So if there's anyone who knows what it feels like to not have enough time to make things happen in your business, it's us. And we realized that if we were going to get serious about building momentum in our business, we'd have to make some really serious changes to how we were managing our time. So from the start of our marriage, we've been huge Dave Ramsey fans. And if you're familiar with Dave Ramsey, he is basically someone who helps people get out of debt and live with financial freedom and financial peace. And so from the beginning of our marriage, we always budgeted our money. We knew that money was one of our most valuable assets. And so we made sure that we would every month at the beginning of the month, we'd plan out our budget on paper, on purpose, like Dave Ramsey says, before the month began, so that we could tell our money where to go. Because Dave Ramsey always says, if you don't tell your money where to go, you'll wonder where it went. And when we started to think about our business and that time was just as valuable as an asset to us as money, and actually a little bit more valuable, because you can make more money, but you can't make more time. We realized we had to start treating time as precious as it was and start budgeting our time the same way that we budgeted our money, because we didn't really have a spending problem with money. We had a yes problem with our time. And maybe you can relate to this. So let's say we would look out on our calendar and we'd see this beautiful blank calendar in the afternoons, right? Or we've got a blank week up ahead. And we would say yes to anything, any good idea that involved people, right? So we might have someone a client would ask if they could meet with us on a Monday, and we would say yes, because that's when they wanted to meet, and we would say yes. And then maybe we'd have someone scheduling an engagement session, and they would ask if we were available on a Thursday, and we would say yes. And then we would have a friend say, hey, I have Tuesday morning off. Do you have time for coffee? And we would say yes. And then we'd have another request for lunch with a wedding planner, and we would say yes to that. And now we have our Friday full. And then at the end of the week, our parents would be like, hey, we really like to have dinner. And so now we're like, oh, we have Wednesday free. And pretty soon our entire calendar is packed with stuff. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, where you once had a blank calendar and all of a sudden you look around, you blink, and it's full of stuff, right? And what we didn't realize was this was a problem in our business. It didn't feel like a problem in our business at the beginning. It didn't feel like a momentum killer, but it was a momentum killer in our business. Because here's the real deal. Every time we had to go out of the house to do one of these things, it took us an hour to get ready, or at least it took me an hour to get ready. Jordan doesn't have to blow dry his hair. He doesn't understand, makeup, mascara, all that kind of stuff. But for me, it took an hour to get ready. And then anytime we were going anywhere, it's always about 30 minutes in the car. One way, 30 minutes in the car, another way. And so we're talking about anytime we leave the house, we're basically giving up 2 hours without even recognizing it. And so if we have a client meeting, regardless of how long the client meeting takes, the client meeting could be an hour, it could be 90 minutes, but we know that we've just lost 2 hours just from the getting ready and the drive time of driving to the meeting, getting to the meeting early, and then coming back from the meeting. And then it's the same thing. If we have coffee with a friend, now we have to get ready all over again. We have to get in the car all over again, and again, and again, and again. And pretty soon we've given up 10 hours of just getting ready time and in the car time. And we didn't even realize that we were doing it because we weren't budgeting our time like we budget our money. And so we realized that something had to change. What if we started being more strategic about planning so that we could find time to have that momentum in our business? So what if we could take all of those same things that we just talked about, all these hypothetical things that would happen to us all the time? What if we could be strategic and plan them all on one day? What if we could in the morning have coffee with a friend, then go to the client meeting, then have lunch with a planner, then do our engagement session, and then go to dinner with our parents all in one day? Look what that does to the rest of our calendar. Isn't that like a beautiful, glorious sight that all of us wish we could have, just blank days on the calendar to get our work done? Let's look at what that does to our time. So as if we refresh here, we're not talking about how long each one of these events takes. Coffee with a friend might be an hour, it might be 2. Regardless of how long each event takes, we know that getting in the car, driving there, driving back, that's what takes all the time, getting ready. So if we can eliminate those things, each time we eliminate one, we're eliminating 2 more hours out of our schedule. So in this hypothetical situation, we just went from 10 hours to 2 hours of drive time and getting ready because we only had to get ready once. We just had to get in the car once, and we can be strategic about planning our coffee with that friend close to that client meeting we need to have, which can be close to lunch with a wedding planner, which we know where our engagement session is going to be. So we can plan around that and have some buffer time in between in case one thing goes long or we need to come back and get our gear, something like that, and then go straight from the engagement session to dinner with our parents. This is something that we do constantly, is as soon as we've got an engagement session on our calendar, we're looking for the next thing to pack in there because we know that this is going to be a much more efficient use of our time. So instead of 10 hours, we only have to spend 2 hours doing those things, getting ready, being in the car. And so we realized just planning that out for that 1 week gave us eight extra hours per week. 8 hours is an entire workday. It's like we got an entire workday back just because we were better at budgeting our time. But here's where math gets really fun, you guys. What if we take those 8 hours and we're able to get those 8 hours back every single week by being strategic about what we say yes to and how we schedule? If we do 8 hours for 52 weeks, we're talking about 416 hours. You know those people that seem to get so much more done and you wonder how on earth do these people get so much more done than me? We really think this is the answer. This being strategic with our time, 416 hours, let's divide that by a 40-hour work week. We're talking about 10 full work weeks back in our calendar just by using this strategic system every single week when we're planning out our week and our calendar. So from here, let's just say our math was half wrong, right? Let's say instead of 10 weeks, that it's 5 weeks because maybe you had a little bit more driving time than you thought. So maybe we only got you 5 weeks back instead of 10. That's still an extra month of work that you didn't even realize you were spending. This was what happened to us, and it started changing everything for us. And we started realizing, wait a minute, if we can make the most out of our calendar, there's probably things we can do to make the most of our time when we are working. So if we work so hard to clear that time in our calendar, now let's make sure that we're making the most of every minute so that we can grow our business in an intentional way and get that momentum that we're looking for. So we realized that we were becoming a statistic when we were working day to day because we were doing what most Americans do is according to Inc. magazine, most Americans only work 3 hours out of an 8-hour workday, which is crazy when you think about it. Because here's why. Maybe just like us, people are doing what we did. Every time we got a text message, we would look at it and we would respond. Every time someone called while we were working, we would pick it up. Every time we got a push notification on our phone and our phone would light up and tell us someone liked something on Instagram or Facebook, we would click it, and then we would click, and then we would click, and then we would click, and then we would click. And pretty soon, 10 minutes later, we were in this rabbit hole on the internet. We didn't even know how we got there. Every time our email went ding, we would think it was a client. So we would check our email. And when we would get into our email, we'd find out it was a Kohl's coupon, or we'd find out someone had tagged us on Facebook, and then we'd click it, and then we'd click something else. And pretty soon we were on another internet rabbit hole. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but that was something that happened to us every single time we sat down to get any work done, whether we were editing a project and we were trying to refine our portfolio and our website. Whenever we were trying to do something to grow our business and build momentum, it seemed like time was slipping away from us. And by the end of the day, we didn't feel like we got very much done. And we realized that's because we were becoming that same statistic. We were getting distracted. And so we realized that we were going to have to eliminate distractions and get really serious about that. So here are some practical things that we did that you can apply this week. The first thing that we really encourage for everybody to do is turn off all of your notifications on your phone. Now, we're talking about your push notifications. So anytime your phone lights up and something comes across your screen, whether it's somebody liking your photo on Instagram or someone liking, commenting on Facebook, or it's Netflix telling you like a new show just got loaded in, or it's your email coming through, there every single app on our phone is designed to keep us in that app as long as possible. That's what the app designers are supposed to do. And so they're very effective at it. So we have to be vigilant about going into our phone and turning off the notifications. So you can go into your settings, and there is, in the general settings of your phone, there's a tab of notifications. You can go in there and you can tell your phone what it is allowed to do. So tell your phone it is not allowed to send push notifications or banner notifications or alert you with noise anytime something happens within inside that app. That is going to save you so much time, because here's the reality is every time one of those things goes off, you are losing productivity because you're instantly distracted by what's happening on your phone. And most of the time, that one thing gets you into the app, which then sucks you in. At least that's what would happen to us, is we would get sucked in by, oh, somebody commented on my Instagram. I want to see who it is. Oh, that was so nice. Oh, look what she's doing. Oh, I should just, scroll my news feed because there's probably a couple. Look how cute this photo is. Oh my gosh, what's that account? Click, 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 right? And pretty soon we've lost 20 minutes of productivity just because our phone lit up one time. So right now, turn off your notifications. Do it this week, because this is going to get you so much time back. Don't let yourself fall down the rabbit hole of notifications, and not just on your phone. We're not just apps. We're talking about text messages. We're talking about when your phone rings during the workday. We actually turn our ringer off. And there's a setting in there where if there's a true emergency, someone can call twice. But we find that 99% of the time, it's not a true emergency. It's just someone wanting to check in and chat, right? So we realized we were going to have to set business hours and stick to them. So for us, from 8 to 4, we're not going to answer our phones. We're not going to answer our text messages. We're going to wait until 4 o'clock. So for you, maybe if you're a working parent, or maybe if you're, when you have to pick up your kids from school, that is the time that you want to get your work done while they're at school. As soon as they're done with school, that's when you can check your phone. That's when you can go through your text messages. That can be the end of your workday so that you can have focused time to work on your business. The next thing is that we try to batch check everything. So because we don't have our notifications turned on, we have to make an active choice to go into our email, for example. We don't even let that little red bubble that tells you how many unread emails you have. It's like the bane of our existence, that little red bubble. We don't even let that bubble come up on our phone. We don't want to know how many unread messages we have in our inbox until we go into our email and intentionally check it. So we only check our email twice a day, and we do it on our schedule so that we're making sure that we're responding to everything at once, and then we're getting out of there. Same thing with Instagram. We're going to go through and scroll the entire feed once. We're going to like and comment on stuff. We're going to respond back to people who commented to us, and then we're going to get out of there. We're not going to let ourselves get sucked back in to social media all day. We're not going to let ourselves get sucked back into our inbox. Another huge one for us is we realized we could not have the TV on while we were editing. And I don't know about you, I think a lot of us love having the background noise because a lot of us work alone, right? So we want to put on an old rerun show. Maybe it's like your favorite show on Netflix. Maybe it's Friends for you, or it's Gilmore Girls. It's totally Gilmore Girls for us. We love the Gilmore Girls. Both of us, not just me, also Jordan.
I definitely love the Gilmore Girls.
You heard it here first.
I secretly want to be a Gilmore Girl.
But here's the thing. We love Gilmore Girls, but not while we're editing, because what the Gilmore Girls do is they take away time without us even noticing it. Because even if we're telling ourselves, oh, well, this is just background noise, we've seen this before, what we don't realize is that we'll be editing and then we'll hear one of our favorite parts and we'll look our eyes up. And we'll watch that little 30-second part, and then we'll put our eyes back down on the screen. And that happens again and again and again. And studies show every time that you get interrupted, you're losing minutes of productivity because it takes your brain that long to get refocused on your task. So you're actually making your job harder when you're editing by having that TV on with that background noise. So we realized we would rather shut that TV off. And let's say that a wedding normally takes you 10 hours to edit from start to finish, because you have your TV on and you're kind of like looking up and looking down and looking up and looking down. What if you tried shutting off your TV and just editing straight with no distractions? Could you do it instead of 10 hours? Could you do it in 8 hours? Would you take those extra 2 hours and watch Gilmore Girls or watch Friends? If someone handed you 2 free hours, what would you do with it? I think your answer is probably like ours. We would probably take those 2 hours and we would invest them in our business, or we would invest them in each other, our spouse, or, maybe you would want to invest those 2 hours in your kids, in your family, or in something else, maybe in working out and doing something for you and reading a book. I bet that you wouldn't choose to watch those reruns of Friends or the reruns of Gilmore Girls if you were able to just get those 2 hours focused back time, that it could change everything for the way your workflow works. So we had to start making changes like that in each part of our business, because we realized that, hey, our goal for all of this, our goal for our photography business is to make a living, right? And sometimes we forget that when we want to make a living, we're actually needing to make sure that we still make a life, and not forgetting that we're making a living so that we can have the life that we want, so that we can have the priorities in the order that we want them. And so I hope that these things were really helpful to you. We hope that you are able to take some things that can change the game for you this week, that you can start implementing this week to gain more momentum in your business. And that brings us to the exciting announcement we told you we were going to have at the beginning of the class. We told you that after that free class, we were going to have this announcement as a way to thank you. And remember, we're going to have a time of Q&A after this. But here's the thing that we're really excited to share with you. Here's the offer that we really want to send your way. Is for years, photographers have been telling us things like, Amy and Jordan, I'm ready to take my business to the next level, but I just don't know where to start. Or I really want to raise my prices, but I just don't know how. Or maybe one of these sounds like you. I really would just want to book my calendar full of clients I love. Or maybe you're that person that's like, I just never know what to post on social media. Please help me. Or maybe you're the person that we were just talking about, right? That's like, I wish I just had more time. Everyone seems to get more done than me. Or maybe you're the person who's scared of the nitty gritty like we were when it comes to business. Like, I feel like Dorothy sometimes, like taxes, contracts, insurance, oh my, right? Or maybe you're the person that's like, I never know what to say when my quote unquote friends ask me for discounts. Or maybe you're the person that's like, I always feel so awkward during my client meetings. I need a system that works for me. Or maybe you're the person that is like, I really want a high-end brand, but I just don't have a lot of money to spend on it right now. We hear you. These were all of the problems at the beginning of our business. These were all of the problems when we were elementary school teachers trying to figure this thing out, trying to build momentum in our business. We know exactly what that's like. And ever since we released our other courses, our shooting and editing course and our posing course, these were the things that were coming to us over and over again from photographers. And they were starting to flood us with requests for a comprehensive business course that solves all of these problems. And not just one piece of the puzzle or part of the answer, but a complete solution. And so that's why we're so excited to share with you that we did that. The exciting thing about that is that it's only 3% of the business course is what you just saw, because the business course is the beastiest course we've ever created. It's actually 30 hours of transformational content. So for this course, we actually welcomed 12 photographers into our home for a 3-day workshop and taught them everything we know about running a successful photography business that makes money and that changes lives. And we filmed every minute of it, all 30 hours. So now you can learn online at your own pace, your own schedule, from the comfort of your own home. And so in this course, we open up our entire playbook. Like we said, everything we shared with you in this class is just 3% of what's going to be in this course. Everything we did, from going to being elementary school teachers who almost gave up on our dream to running a thriving 6-figure business in a saturated market serving clients we love. So if you're someone who is just wanting to make a little extra money on the side, or you want to be a full-time photographer, Or you just want to learn how to work smarter and faster so you can stop wasting time, get hours of your life back, and build a business that makes you happy, this course is for you. And we built this course not just for wedding photographers and not just for portrait photographers. It is for both the types of photographers. So even if you never plan on shooting a wedding, this course is still jam-packed with value for you. And if you do plan on ever shooting weddings, you'll be ready, right? Because this course is for both wedding photographers and portrait photographers. And we know exactly what it's like to be where you are because we know what it's like to build something out of nothing. And that's why when we built this course, we didn't put a limit on what we wanted to include, because even though we had people telling us we could make more money by splitting all of this up, because 30 hours is a lot of information, right? We didn't want to do that. We committed to holding nothing back because we really believe in affordable, accessible education that works. And so that's why this course is really like 8 courses in one. So here's a little look into all the things that we cover in the course.
So in all 8 modules, the first module is branding and website. And that's where we talk about how to attract your ideal client, how to build a brand worth investing in, how to choose which images go in your portfolio, how to structure your website strategically, and how to design your website to stand out. But that's just one module. In module 2, we dive into pricing. It's our pricing system revealed. You'll know how to to raise your prices and when to raise your prices. We talk about handling friends and family, discounts and awkward asks, how to price weddings and portrait sessions, travel elopements, mini sessions, and more. In module 3, we do all things social media. It's our social media secrets and strategies, the do's and don'ts of posing, how to use social media to get real business, Facebook and Instagram essentials, and how to choose images and write captions that connect. In module 4, we dive into blogging, why blogging matters and how to get started. It's our 3-step writing system, what to say, how to say it, blogging to attract your ideal client, the do's and don'ts of choosing and pairing images, and breaking into the high-end market. In the next module, we do all things complete client experience. We show you our systems for wowing every client, our complete client meeting from start to finish, how to respond to emails to get booked, how to give clients gifts that don't break the bank, and how we deliver our images and get our clients sharing about us. In the second half of the course, because that was just the first half of the course, we talk about how to get the whole industry talking about you, how to make client relationship mistakes that most photographers make and how to avoid those, how to build relationships with venues and planners, how to feel comfortable in conversations. This is especially true for you introverts out there, and how to get referrals from other photographers. We also cover business foundations, making all that scary stuff just a little less scary. We talk about getting legit, business accounts, licenses, sales tax, protecting yourself, insurance and contracts, tracking expenses, mileage. We get into write-offs, bookkeeping, accounting, and how to pay taxes and yourself. We also have an entire module just on productivity, profitability, and priorities, how to make more money per hour, how to protect and multiply your time to get things done, how to go full-time, which is a step-by-step practical how-to, outsourcing, time-saving hacks, calendar tricks, and making a living while making a life.
And being teachers before we were ever photographers, we spent years of our life taking complicated concepts and then breaking them down into simple, practical, applicable steps, just like you saw in this class. So in really warm, loving, engaging ways so that students of all levels and all backgrounds could succeed. And when we think about why we love to do what we do, we think about photographers that are just like you, photographers like Ryan. Ryan is one of our students who learned our business systems, and Ryan went from 0 weddings to 40 weddings in 12 months after learning our business systems, totaling $100,000, which made a huge difference in her family, to her husband and her daughter. And when we think about photographers like that, we're just so proud. We think about photographers like Anne, another one of our students who learned our business systems. And Anne was a single mom, and she was able to triple her prices after learning our business systems. And she was able to leave what she called her soul-sucking day job as a landlord and be able to work in her business full time. And the biggest blessing for her in all of that is she was able to spend a lot more time with her son. Or we think about our students like Sarah and Ben. Sarah and Ben were a husband and wife team, and they shot the same number of weddings after learning our system, but they were able to double their income. And that meant that Ben was finally able to join Sarah at home full time. So now they have this flexibility and freedom in their life that they had been dreaming of. And so we are so excited about this business course because we know it's going to be a game changer, because it's the stuff that literally changed our life and the lives of countless others.
And guys, here's the deal. We know that until this course was available online, photographers had to invest thousands and thousands of dollars to learn this information from us in person. But we had so many photographers want to come learn from us in person that we just they couldn't swing days away from their families. They had jobs, they had loved ones, and thousands of dollars to invest in this education along with flights and hotels was just too much. And that's why when we created the Amy and Jordan business course, we decided that this course wasn't going to be $3,000 in order to get this amazing content. We actually wanted to put this online so we could give you all 30 hours of transformational content at a price that wouldn't break the bank, which is why in our online store, our business course is $697, which is so crazy because when you break that down, it's actually $23 an hour. But here's the thing. Since you've been with us for the last hour, you took this free online class, you're clearly students who are like, you know what, I'm ready to invest in myself. I'm ready to take the next step in my photography journey and my photography adventure to build the photography business of my dreams. We have a really special offer just for you. You're not going to pay $3,000 for our business systems. You're not going to pay $697 for our business systems. But on this class, during this webinar, you are going to have the option to get this entire course, all 30 hours of our best business content, all 8 modules, all 80 lessons for a very special price of $497. And when you break that down, that is $16 an hour for some of the best transformational content that literally transformed our entire life. And here's the thing. People think that we are crazy for giving away all this content for this price. But we really want to be able to get this information into as many hands as possible because Amy and I believe in affordable, accessible education that works. And that's why when you invest in the Amy and Jordan business course, you are going to get a lot of stuff. You're going to get 30 hours of practical, applicable business lessons, just like we mentioned. You are also going to get bonus Q&A from real students who were there. We had 12 students who came for the live filming of the business course, and we gave them time at the end of most modules to ask questions if something wasn't quite clear, if they needed a little more. That's also included in this $497 price. You're also going to get our digital course workbook, which is kind of like a downloadable on-the-go digital workbook that highlights the most important parts of every lesson. You can use this to track your progress, refer back to for helpful reminders and fresh inspiration whenever you need to. And since it's digital, you can put it on your phone and you can take it wherever you go. But there's even more. You also get access to our exclusive private Facebook group for our business course. And here's the thing. This is the most supportive private Facebook group on the internet. This group is only for fellow members of the business course. So you will have a built-in, warm, encouraging community of your peers where you can feel safe to ask questions and grow without judgment and connect with other students who are learning the same things as you are. Our private Facebook groups for our courses are no troll zones. And since we believe that people weren't meant or created to do life alone, for every student who enrolls, you're going to get automatic membership to that. Here's the deal. Especially in photography land, the internet can be a mean and scary place sometimes for photographers who are new and trying to grow and improve, or photographers who have been around for a while and trying to make some changes in their business. And it is filled with more than enough Facebook trolls who should be focused on their own businesses, but instead spend their days in a lot of free groups criticizing everyone else's businesses. So like I said, it is a no troll zone. It is a place for people who get you, who understand you, who know what you're going through and are there to help. It is a place for you to share your struggles and share your successes too, without any fear of being judged. So as a quick recap, here's the deal. Since you came with us and you spent time with us on this webinar, you were going to get all of this for $497. And the best part is it is completely risk-free. We back our courses with an honest 100% money-back guarantee because we are confident that if you do the work, this stuff works. And that's why the AJ Business Course is backed by our tight, honest, 100% money-back guarantee. The risk is all on us. There is zero risk to you. But like we said, it's a tight money back guarantee. And here's why. If you purchase this course, watch all the lessons, correctly complete the workbook, and in good faith, tell us that you are not a better business owner as a result of this course, email us within 30 days with your completed workbook, and we will refund every penny of your purchase. But here's the thing. We're confident that's not going to happen, because if you do the work, this stuff works. It's worked for us. It's worked for our students. And so one more time, just to be super, super clear, this is not a free trial or a refund for any reason. This is for photographers who are serious about growth in your business. So you might be sitting there right now thinking, okay, cool. I'm ready. Give me the course. I want it. How do I get it? So what we're about to do is we're about to drop a link in the chat right now for you guys to check out the AJ Business course. Do me a favor. As soon as we drop that link, jump in there, click it, make sure that it's working, and make sure that you guys haven't flooded it all at once and it can't handle the incoming.
Yeah, will you please let us know if it's working, because sometimes these things can get a little glitchy. So go ahead and click that link. Let us know if it's working.
So let me just walk you through how you can enroll right now for the AJ Business course and get immediate access to all the courses, all the modules, and all the things that you will need to start to build the photography business of your dream. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to click the join us today or any of the enroll buttons. And when you do that, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. That's going to say exclusive webinar only offer $497. Remember, this is just for you guys. And once you get in there and you put all of your information in, what's going to happen next is once your purchase goes through, you're going to get a confirmation page that pops up that looks like this. It's going to say purchase confirmed. Your seat in the AJ Business course is secured. And when that happens, do me a favor, take a screenshot of that. Sometimes our system gets overloaded, and instead of getting an automatic email within the first 15 minutes giving you all your enrollment information, sometimes things get lost in cyberspace. So do me a favor, if you don't get a confirmation email from us within about 15 minutes, go ahead and send an email to support@amyandjordan.com. Just screenshot your purchase confirmed so that we can go in our system and make sure that you get access to the course as soon as possible.
So before we start our live Q&A, we just wanted to share 3 quick testimonials from photographers who were actually a part of our live filming. So they were there in the audience as we were filming the business course. And I just love what Ben said here. He said, I wish this had come out when I first started. It would have been the only business course that I needed. And Diana was also there, and she said the AJ Business course will breathe life, love, and meaning into your business. And then we also had Jill there, who said the AJ Business course is life-changing. You will thank yourself a million times over for investing in this course. And that's the thing that we love to hear, because this is something that we're really passionate about. We love helping photographers because we remember what it was like to feel stuck. And the thing about this online course is that it is a one-time investment in your education that will not only change your business, it will change your life. And we can say that confidently because we've lived it and we've helped so many other photographers live it too. And the cool thing about this course is it's not a monthly subscription, so you don't have to keep paying for it every month. It's not something you have to keep paying for over and over again. You just make a one-time investment and you get lifetime access. So you get to watch it over and over and over again, go back and rewatch parts as many times as you want. And we know that it can feel really scary to make an investment in yourself. We're big savers by nature. Like we mentioned, we lived on one teacher salary while we were building our business. So we really saved every penny, and we were really hesitant to make any type of investment in ourselves or in our dream. But looking back, our biggest regret is not investing in education sooner, because we could have experienced so much accelerated growth, explosive growth in our business. And it would have saved us so much pain and frustration and time. And that's why we created this course, was to be able to do those things for you. And like the photographers that had the courage to believe in themselves, like Ryan, like Anne, like Sarah and Ben, like those photographers, we could have been so much more confident and had our life change so much faster. And so if you're trying to figure out where the money is going to come from this, here's what we would do. First, think of it this way. At this special webinar price, we're talking about literally $16 an hour, because this is 30 hours of transformational content. And there are really creative ways to make an investment in your future. A lot of photographers have asked for educational sponsorships from people in their life who love them. So we've had a lot of photographers tell us they've had success with this by approaching people in their family who'd be willing to make $100 investment in their education in exchange for a future mini session or a photo shoot, or just to say like, hey, we believe in you. We want to see your dream happen. And had got 5 sponsors to pitch in and got the course completely covered for their education and for their growth. We've also had photographers who have popped mini session flash sales and just knocked out the price of the course in one weekend by getting a mini session signed up. We've also had photographers tell us, this was the only thing I asked for my birthday or for Christmas. And so, there's lots of creative ways to make this happen. But we know that this special exclusive price is not going to be available for long. So this is really the time to take your photography business to the next level and join that group of photographers who have never seen such huge traction in their business.
And so we promised you guys at the beginning of class that we were going to do the class, have the special offer, and that we were going to come back and do a time of Q&A, about anything that you learned in the class, about any business photography questions that you have, and any questions that you have about the AJ Business course. And so give us about 5 seconds just for us to get our slides off the screen, and we are going to pop back on the screen, and then we will start taking your questions that you post in the chat. So give me just 1 second. Here we go. Hello. We're back. So we want to go ahead and get started with the time of Q&A, just as a thank you for spending time with us during the class. And before I do that, I just want to welcome, oh my gosh, so many of you guys are flooding in right now and joining the course, and we're so excited. And I want to say hey to Stacy, Valerie, Nicole, Royce, cool name, Rosemary, cool name. You all have cool names. Bradley, Amy, Philip, Tanya, sorry if I messed that up, Cynthia, and Rachel. We are so pumped to have you guys as brand new members of the AJ Business course. And so let's go ahead now and let's jump into a time of Q&A. We've got a bunch of them we see coming in on the chat. And so we're going to go ahead and get started answering all of your questions. So I think Amy's going to read the first question and then we will answer it.
Yeah, so we've got questions coming in multiple places. So we're going to try to keep track of them all. So Judy asks, how do you start charging for your photos in the first place? So far, I've just been taking photos because I really enjoy doing it. I've had offers to buy my pictures, but I don't know what to charge. That's a really good question. And that's exactly where we were when we got started. When we got started, we did it because we loved it and because we wanted to build a portfolio. And so at the beginning, we were asking to take pictures of people that we loved. So I still remember one of my best friends, she's one of my bridesmaids. I basically begged her to go out location scouting with me so that I could take some photos of her. And for situations like that, we didn't charge because we were just excited to get people in front of our camera. So that's how we started. We started for free, just like you, Judy. And then the way that we started charging for our photos happened over time. I'll never forget our very first paying client was actually my grandma. My grandma hired us to take photos of another family member. And I think she paid us $100. And it was such an honor at the time. And she basically said, I want to invest in your business. And she gave us $100. We didn't ask for it. Looking back, it's just such a fond memory of my grandma. And so that was the first time that we ever made money from our photography. And it was really more of a gift. But over time, what would start happening is as we were starting to photograph for people for free, just like you said, Judy, they were almost starting to offer hey, I'd like to give you something, whether it's a gift card. And so at the beginning, we were really kind of letting other people set the terms because they were people in our personal network who we loved. But as we started to get more confident in our work started improving, the quality started looking better, and we started working for people who we didn't necessarily know. Maybe they were a friend of a friend. We just started pricing ourselves to be the best value in town. We wanted to price ourselves so that people wouldn't shy away from us because of the price, and that they would look at the price and look at what they're getting and think yeah, that's totally worth it. So we would start at a really low price, and then as demand increases, like we talked about before, we would start to slowly raise those up.
Yeah, cool. I wanted to take a question. They're flying in. So I'm looking down, I'm looking there, I'm looking here. Marcina said, I hate to be that annoying Instagram user who blows up everybody's feed every day with photography she thinks is great, but no one really thinks it's that good. How do I know my photography is high quality enough to start demonstrating myself as an in-demand photographer. So the quick answer, because I've seen a couple of people said, I second that. Like, I don't feel like my work is good enough yet to start posting that I'm a photographer. And here's the thing that Amy and I would really encourage you on, is that we all live in photography land. And so in our Instagram feed and our Facebook feed, we're following tons of other photographers from all over the world who are the best at their craft and have been doing it for 10 years. And we're comparing our work to their work. But here's the kicker. Most of our clients who live in our local area, the people who are going to pay us to do their sessions, they don't live in photography land. And so if you actually grab your phone as a fun experiment, grab one of your friends' phones sometime who knows nothing about photography, who's not in the photography world, and grab their phone and say, hey, can I scroll through your Instagram really fast? Can I scroll through your Facebook really fast? You are going to be amazed at how non-photographer-y their feeds are. And what we have to remember is that even if you're a brand new photographer and you say, my work just is really getting started, I'm not quite there yet, your work compared to non-photographers on iPhones is still going to be more professional and higher quality. And so that's going to let people in your feed think of you as a professional, even as you're getting started. And remember, we said earlier, social media is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And one of the hardest things for us to do as photographers is say the words, I'm a photographer. For some reason, we have this, I'm a and we think there's like this line that we have to cross in order for us to say I'm a photographer. And I would encourage you right now, wherever you are in your photography journey, you are a photographer. And until you start to believe that and breathe that into yourself, it's going to be really hard for you to do the things that we're talking about tonight. So step one is believe that you're a photographer. We give you permission that you don't need a fancy degree from a fancy school. You don't need 10 years of experience. If you have a camera and you love to shoot, you're a photographer. And I just wanted really fast to say hi to Rebecca, Andrea, Michael, Courtney, Katrine. Welcome to the business course. You guys are awesome. We're so excited to have you.
And we actually have a question from Michael. He said, awesome, I just purchased the course. Yay, Michael, we're excited to have you. He said, I just purchased the course. I'm so excited. I'm currently in college, but I seriously want to go full time. Any tips on making this decision? First of all, I want to say I'm a little jealous of you that you're still in college because you're ahead of where we were. We didn't get started until we were already in our professional careers. So the good news is because you've invested in the course, we actually talk about every single step that we took to go full time. So there's so much that goes into that, but you are going to get all of that in the course. So we're so excited to have you. So it's coming up. Don't worry.
And I can't remember who was, somebody said, can you guys go really quickly through everything that's covered in the course?
Oh yeah, so that's Jenna.
Jenna, we'll do that really fast for you. And then we'll get back to more of the Q&A on business. So in the course, we cover everything. So there's 8 modules, 80 lessons, 30 hours of business content. We didn't want to create a course that was just a social media course or just a blogging course or a website course or just a pricing course, because we believe in affordable, accessible education that works. And we believe that education needs to be comprehensive and holistic. And so that's why we included everything in the course that we did to become successful photographers and everything that we think you need to become successful photographers too. So there's no other business course coming down the pipes for us. This is the one that we created to solve all of your business problems and get you moving. And so
if you're looking for a review, you can actually, that link in the chat, if you click that link, just keep it open on your screen and it's going to have the full layout where you can read every single thing just in case, because I know it's a lot, but keep that open on your page and then you can go through that.
Yeah, so it's all things like website and branding, social media, blogging, networking and relationships, pricing, our complete client experience. We go through business foundations, and then we go through all of our productivity hacks. And so each one of those is like roughly 3 to 4 hours, which is how we get to the grand total of 30 hours in the entire course. So let's take another question. We love Q&A time.
Yes. So many good
And while Amy's looking for a question, they just populate so fast.
Yes.
Sharon, Shayna, Shelby, Brittany, welcome to the AJ Business Course. We are so pumped to have you guys. So welcome. And I'm just going to, as you guys keep joining, I've got like 3 screens going. I'm going to keep trying to welcome as many of you as possible because we're so glad that you took the first step toward your photography dream.
So Jen asks, hi, AJ, how do you get prospective clients to do initial meetings when it's convenient for you, i.e. during work hours? Oh, shoot, it just went away. During the day and not after their workday at night. Okay, yeah, that's a really great question, Jen. And we relate to that because we had, especially at the beginning of our business, we were trying to schedule around our set business hours of of teaching elementary school. And so we only had a certain amount of hours, plus he was coaching. So it was really important that we could slot those client meetings in a time that made sense for us. So we go into our full client experience and the way this whole process works in the course. But to answer your question as efficiently as possible, what we would do is in the email, when they would ask to meet with us, we would respond back by letting them know, hey, we meet at this specific location. And we would ask them what days and times of the week work best for you. So they might come back to us with, I'm a nurse, so I work 12-hour shifts and I'm free every Friday and Sunday. Then we would look at that and say, okay, we know that we can't meet with them on Friday between 8 and 4 because we're teaching elementary school. So we can schedule it. We're already going to be on our way home from school, so we could schedule it on the way. So we would say, okay, they're available on Friday. Yep. So our first availability is Friday at 5 p.m. or Friday at 7 p.m. Or we might do it on the way home from an engagement session. We might say, you know, we have a portrait session scheduled. We are available. Do you happen to be available at 8 p.m.? So sometimes we would schedule pretty late at night or early in the morning. Sometimes we do it on the way to church. We're always trying to make it as time efficient as possible for us. So finding out the days and times of the week that they're available, then it gives us the freedom to be accommodating to them while also making sure it fits into our time calendar, because you know how serious we take scheduling our calendar. So that was a huge one.
And
for
that's
us.
One of the things we love about the course is that we have an entire productivity and time saving module. So we've got like, 2 or 3 hours worth of that stuff. And we just share with you in this free class 15 or 20 minutes, but we have a ton more. And so I want to take Becca's question. That was a really good one. Yeah. Were you terrified to take the leap and just devote everything to your business? How do you do it all and still sleep? LOL. Well, Becca, I guess the way that I would explain it is that for us, like our pastors always said, it's not about like a leap in the dark. It's a walk in the light. And what we mean by that is that going full time in your photography business isn't just waking up one morning and say, I'm going full time, I'm doing it. Because what happens is people on Facebook and Instagram are going to like cheer for you for that first day. And then they go back to their everyday life. And that Friday or the next week, those bills start to roll in that you have to be responsible for paying. And so that's why in the AJ Business Course, we actually, for the very first time, walk you through exactly the process, step by step, of how we made the decision to go full time, because it wasn't an overnight decision. It was something that we had to take one step at a time and take an honest look at ourselves in the mirror and know, are we ready or are we not ready? And so that's one of the things we break down in the course for you is a kind of a roadmap for how do you know when it's the right time to go full time, because we can't just give you like a PDF, right? Where you can say, I did this, and this, and now I'm ready, because everyone's life is different and their life circumstances are different. Some people are married, some people aren't. Some people have kids, some people don't. Some people are single, some people are in their 20s, some people are in their 40s. And it can work for everyone, but it's going to look a little bit different for everyone. And so there's not I wish I could give you like a perfect, here's how you go full time answer. But the one thing I would say is that it is possible. Because just like you saw with Anne, who was commuting 50 miles one way and 50 miles back, she did the things that we teach in this course. And now she is a full-time photographer who gets to stay home and she gets to spend way more time with her son. And we have story after story after story. I would never sit here and tell you that it's going to be easy, that there's an easy button. And anybody that tells you, oh yeah, just do this, this, and this, and you can go full-time next week, they're not telling you the truth. And we want to tell you the truth by saying that we have developed this 30-hour course to walk you through how to do it and to super speed your success over ours, because you won't have to spend time making all the mistakes that we made along the way. And our journey looked a little bit more like this, because every time we made a mistake, it cost us a little bit of time. And in this course, we help streamline that for you so you can go through all the lessons and all the modules and start implementing and activating right away to get yourself on that journey.
So I wanted to answer. And
real fast, Brooke, Darren, Tamra, Denia, yay. I hope I said that right. Welcome. If I didn't get it right, we'll see you in the Facebook group and then I can get it right.
Megan asked, blogging is my hardest struggle. My main struggle is what to write as I do portrait photography. I feel like weddings are a little easier because it's a long period of time with the clients and more details and vendors. We totally agree with you. To include in your post, which helps to include content. But when you're only shooting a family for an hour, it's really hard to come up with what to write about. Is this covered in the course? And the answer is yes. We are really passionate about helping photographers write their blog posts. We used to teach 4th and 5th graders how to write, so 10 and 11-year-olds. So we actually break down some writing techniques in the course that you can apply to every type of session. And we actually talk about, we agree with you, Megan, 100%. Portrait blog posts are harder to write than weddings. The weddings, there are more details. You spend more time with the couple. You just have more to say about a wedding than a portrait session. So we actually do in the course talk about specific techniques that you can use to be able to create blog posts for those portrait sessions when it's like a little harder to know what to say. And we hear that from photographers a lot. Most photographers are kind of uncomfortable writing, and we actually love writing. And we believe that anyone can do it. And so we actually break down a lot of writing techniques, not just for blogs, but also for another question we get a lot is, how the heck do you write captions on social media? A lot of people just feel really frozen by that. They know what picture they want to post, but they don't know what to write. And so we actually go into a lot of strategies for that as well.
And I just want to remind you guys, that link is in there right now in the chat. So if you haven't had a chance, click on it. We would love for you guys to take advantage of this special webinar price of $497 one time to get all 8 modules, all 80 plus lessons, all of our business systems and secrets and strategies that took us from the elementary school classroom to being full-time photographers. And I wanted to answer one question I saw just pop up in the chat. And Haley says, how do you stay confident in your work when you were just starting out, having no photography background? Well, here's kind of the thing that we truly believe with our whole heart. And in our opinion, if anybody tells you otherwise, I just think they're wrong. Is that you don't have to have a fancy photography degree or have 10 years of experience in photography. Number one, in order to produce great quality work or learn how to produce great quality work. But the other thing is that we know a lot of photographers who have really fancy, expensive photography degrees who come and take our online courses and they tell us, I learned more in your shooting and editing course. I learned more in your posing course. I've learned more just by learning your business systems than I did getting my photography degree. And the reality is that your photography is worth whatever people are willing to pay for it. It doesn't matter if you have, the most beautiful photography in the entire world. If people aren't paying you for that photography, then it doesn't have a dollar value attached to it. And that's one of the reasons why we love the AJ Business Course, because we have had students who have come to us with great quality work in a lot of cases. And they've said, I'm having a really hard time booking. And we look at their work and we're shocked that their calendar isn't booked all year, that they're not making, tens and tens of thousands of dollars or 6 figures in their business. And a huge part of it is even though they're excellent photographers, most photographers haven't figured out the business side of things, which is why we say you always hear this idea of the starving artist. And a lot of photographers are just that. They're starving artists. They've nailed the photography, but they haven't nailed the business. And that's why we decided to build this course so comprehensively so that if you're somebody who's brand new and you're just getting started, take this course because it will help you avoid all the pain and problems that we had to go through in our business.
And that answer is, sorry to interrupt you, but that answer is Katie's question. Is Katie
I got
was
you
saying,
too, Katie.
Would this course be appropriate for someone who's literally just getting started? And he was saying, yeah. So Katie, that's for you.
So it would be.
Sorry,
and for photographers, we have had photographers who have learned our business systems after being in business for 10 years. And within 6 or 12 months have done a complete 180 in their business and have grown it bigger than they ever imagined while saving more time, while producing better quality work, while being more efficient. And that's why we just love teaching this stuff. And we're so passionate about it because photography stuff is awesome. We have a course on it. Posing stuff is awesome. We have a course on it. Business stuff is the stuff that just gets us so revved up and riled up and excited because it changes lives. And when we see it change Ryan's life, going from $0 to 100,000, or we see it changing Anne's life where she's not commuting anymore and now she's doing photography full time and spending more time with her son, it just fires us up, guys. That's why we do this.
So I wanted to answer another question from Cami.
And real fast, Regina, Catherine, Daniela, welcome.
Yay, welcome. Cami asked, and this was actually one that I was seeing quite a few times in the chat, is what's your opinion on having separate Instagram accounts for personal and business? This is a question that comes up a lot. Is it smart or does it end up hurting your business to have a personal account and a professional account? We actually go into this in the social media section of our course in depth, all the different answers to this. But here's what I would say quickly is that we really believe in sharing our personal life on our professional account. Like we mentioned in the class, we don't look at any type of social media as personal only or professional only. We mix those two together. And there's a reason for it. There's a strategy behind it. We really believe that people want to work with people that they trust. And it is much easier to build trust and connection when people know who's the person on the other side of the camera. If all we're ever doing is sharing our professional work, there's just less reason for people to follow along with us. There's less potential eyeballs that could be word of mouth referrers for us, because there's a lot more interest in seeing both our professional work and our personal work. So we're big advocates of combining those together.
Yep. So let's take another question, which is for, oh man, you guys are, the questions are so many of them. So, I think it's Carlette. I hope I got that right. Carlette says you do a sneak peek, client photos, write a blog post, and say when you deliver the album. But at what point do you give them all the pictures at the end of that? And here's the question that I really want to address. Are the clients ever upset that the curated images are so beautiful, but the photojournalistic photos aren't in the same light or they don't have the same softness?
That's a great question.
That's a great question. I think the quick answer that I would say is that it actually works in the opposite. By us sharing a sneak peek first, then sharing a blog post, and then delivering a gallery of images where the blog post images, those highlight images, are the first thing that they see. Each step along that way, it builds more and more value and more trust with our clients. And here's the deal, is that they know what the getting ready room looked like. Like our bride knows exactly what that getting ready room looked like. And the photos that we took, even if they're not the same light or the same airiness or the same softness as some of the portraits that we took at Golden Hour outdoors, they still look better than they did on anybody's iPhone photo. And they still look better than they did in our bride's memory and better than it actually looked on the day. And so our job as photographers isn't to be magicians and somehow transform a getting ready room into this light, airy Golden Hour, I guess like photo you would say, but it is to do the very best we can with the light that we're given, which is something we cover in our shooting and editing course, but to do the very best we can with the circumstances that we're given. And our clients have never once ever come back to us in any shoot we've ever done and tried to compare certain images from Golden Hour to certain images in a church or something like that.
And the fun thing we find about when they see their blog post.
Also, hi, Caitlin. Hi, William. Welcome to the course.
When they see their blog posts, they fall in love with those images first, and it teaches our clients which images are the strongest, which ones are the best. They start to fall in love with those images. And so we find that those are the images they normally end up using on their profile pictures and thank you cards. And those are the photos that start to mean the most to them. And then by the time they've fallen in love with those, when they get the full gallery, they're just so excited to see the rest of the memories, because to them, every photo is personal. But on the blog, we're not curating for them necessarily. We're curating for the next client, for the next high-end client who is trying to decide if they want to book with us or not. So that's our quickest answer. We go into a lot more depth in the course, but that's our quickest answer on that.
Yeah, so I just want to let you guys know really fast, we are going to hang for about 5 more minutes and answer as many of your questions as we can in those 5 minutes. So I really want to encourage you, if you haven't had a chance, click the link in the chat. Take advantage of the special price and the special offer of $497 one time for unlimited lifetime access to all 8 modules, all 30 hours, all 80 plus lessons of the AJ Business course. And so I think Amy had a question that she was going to grab, but I just wanted to remind you guys, please click on that link. Please get over there, get yourself enrolled as soon as possible so that you can start this adventure of building a photography business of your dreams.
So Joanna asked, I don't know if this question got through. It's just, is it important to choose a specific type of photography, like just weddings or just portraits or just newborns, to specialize in rather than doing it all at first? And here's the thing. We think that specialization is a great idea and a great business strategy and something that everyone should be working towards once you've been shooting long enough that you know what you like the most, what you're the best at. But we were not specialists when we got started. Even though we knew we wanted to be wedding photographers, we did not have enough wedding clients to be wedding specialists. Our first year shooting weddings, we only shot 2 weddings that entire year. So if we had only shot weddings, we would have had 2 jobs in an entire year and would have stalled out. We wouldn't have been getting new work in our portfolio. We wouldn't have been getting new experience. So we photographed everything at the beginning. And we think if that's the position that you're in, we want to be an encouragement to you. So that's where most photographers start. And we think that being portrait photographers actually made us better wedding photographers in the long run, because it taught us how to think quickly on our feet, to work with all different types of people. Because if you're doing a family session with adults and little kids, or you're doing a headshot session for someone in their 40s, or a headshot session for someone in their teens, all of a sudden on a wedding day, all of these people come together and you're serving little kids, big kids, senior citizens, bridesmaids, groomsmen, everyone in between. And so we can look back at a lot of our portrait experiences and see how they help strengthen our wedding. So if you're in a place where you're shooting everything, we know exactly what that's like. Keep doing it. Yeah. Our best advice is, as you figure out what you love the most.
Cynthia, Christine, Rachel, Stephen, welcome.
As you figure out what you love the most, just start dropping one category at a time. So for us, newborn photography is something we've loved to look at, but we are horrible at it. And we realized that was not our gifting. And so we were going to drop newborn photography first and move one category at a time, closer and closer. For us, we wanted to specialize in weddings. For you, you might want to specialize in newborns or specialize in families. And so whatever it is you want to specialize in, we started curating our portfolio more and more toward that specialization over time.
Yeah, and we got a couple of questions. I just want to answer like a couple of quick hit questions. Someone asked, does the course cover editing and does the course cover posing? So the answer is no. We have a separate course for shooting and editing, which is one course, and you learn our entire shooting system and our entire editing system. We have another course for posing where we cover our entire posing system for weddings or portraits. And the business course focuses just on those 8 modules that I told you about before, but it includes 30 hours of content. And so it is a ton of stuff. And I just wanted to say thanks to Joe. I see you, Joe. Joe said the course is excellent. We started going through it in order last night. So good. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
we really,
Joe.
really appreciate that. We pour our heart and soul into everything we do because it's really important to us. We remember exactly what it was like to be exactly where you are. And one of the reasons why we're so passionate about education and making affordable and accessible and giving you lifetime access so you can watch and rewatch over and over again is because we remember what it was like at the beginning. We remember what it was like a couple of years in when we just weren't sure, can we actually make this dream a reality? And if it wasn't for the stuff that we teach in this course, we would have never been able to achieve our goals and realize our dreams and be sitting here right now talking to you. And so thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it. And I just want to mention one more time, if you're having any troubles with any links or any payments going through or anything like that, we're just getting flooded and the system is getting hammered right now. And so sometimes the internet does glitchy things. And if you experience anything like that, please send an email to support@amyandjordan.com. And somebody from our customer care team will make sure to get you guys taken care of within about 24 hours. And so it may not be right away and instantaneous because there's so much that's hitting us right now, but please just shoot us an email and we will make sure to get you guys taken care of. So real fast, link is in there. We're heading out in about 2 minutes. And so I just wanted to remind you guys to click the link, grab the deal. Did I welcome Cynthia, Christine, Rachel, and Stephen? If I didn't, I'm welcoming you now. So we're so pumped to have you guys. We're so excited. You want to take one more question?
Yeah.
Before we roll? Okay. Yeah, let's do one more.
Brio,
maybe 2. We'll see.
Okay. Brio asks, what should I do if a prospective client wants to see a full client gallery from other clients, even if that gallery has basement photos in it and isn't going to be as awesome and as curated as the photos on my blog or website would be? Should I let them see it? And if not, how do I nicely say no and not kill the sale? That's a really good question. So here's how we would answer that. One, anytime a client asks to see a full gallery, our answer is always yes. We want to be completely transparent and let them know exactly what they're going to see from start to finish. So we, in our mind, have whatever our best wedding is in mind to share anytime someone asks that. And here's how we kind of combat the gallery wall versus the basement photos is in the full gallery, the first thing that our clients see are all of the gallery wall images. So we almost have like an Amy and Jordan favorites that you see first, and those would be all the images we put on our blog post. Those are the gallery wall images. And then from there, we have the rest of the gallery sectioned off by category so that if they want to click through and see every single photo, they absolutely can. We really recommend doing that at any stage of your business so that people know exactly what they're signing up for. A lot of times, if we have a couple who is getting married like in a Catholic church, we'll make sure to send them a Catholic church wedding where they can see what that lighting looks like when it's dark and there's no windows and the church doesn't allow flash, and what that looks like. And we're still going to produce the best quality work that we can, but it's going to look different than like a glowy outdoor sunset ceremony, right?
Yeah, and here's kind of the way we look at that, right? Is a potential client says, hey, I'm interviewing you and 2 other wedding photographers. Can you please send me a full gallery of a wedding? And you say no. No, I'm not. No. Here's some highlights, or here's a blog post, but I won't send you a full gallery. They're probably not going to hire you. So it's better to send them the full gallery and have it be compared to 2 other photographers. And if they choose you, fantastic. They know exactly what they're getting and they're pumped. And if they compare yours to 2 other photographers and they decide, you know what, you're not the photographer for me, that's totally okay, because we want to make sure that we're finding the right clients and the ideal clients. And we want to make sure that they are the people who want to work with you. And if they're meant for somebody else, they're meant for somebody else. And that's totally okay. Real fast, Jill, Kristen, Barbara, welcome. Yay. And we're going to do 2 more. Okay. I said 1 and then I said 2 and now it's turning into 3.
We can't help it. This is fun.
We're going to do, we've done, I got to be careful which finger here. So we have 2 left. 2 more questions. So make sure, get the link, snag the special $497 webinar only deal. Get it while it's hot, get it before it's gone. We want to make sure we get you guys in the course ASAP so that you can start. Don't wait a minute. Don't wait a day. Get in right now. So
make sure to click that link because it will disappear once we're out of here. So click it now, have it open on your screen, just so you don't forget, because I feel like I would forget. Yeah. Okay. So
2 more questions.
2 more questions. Oh, shoot, I lost it. Where did it go? Okay, Morgan. Morgan says, do you request for your clients to give you credit on their images when you use them, when they use them on social media? That's a really great question. And we go deep into all of the client relationship aspects from start to finish, from the first time they email us to when they get their final images. And we absolutely, in our emails, will let them know the best way to photo credit us. And we actually say something like, help us serve more awesome clients like you. We would love to work with more clients like you. So, you know, if appropriate, we would love for you to photo credit us this way. And then we'll give them our social media information. Now, here's the thing. If they decide to post on social media and they don't photo credit us, there's a part of us that feels upset by that, right? I think we've all had moments like that where you feel like, oh, it's such a wasted opportunity. I worked so hard on this wedding, or I worked so hard on this portrait session. I want to be in front of their friends and family, and it feels really hurtful. In our opinion, the best way to handle that, if you've already expressed in your email how to photo credit and they decide not to photo credit you, instead of hunting them down or letting them know it's in your contract or doing something that would break the relationship, instead what we would do is we would like the photo, double tap it, click it, like it if it's on Facebook, and then we would comment something positive on the photo, like, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorites. I loved getting you 2 in front of our camera, or loved photographing your sweet family. Basically something, we like to call it sneaky photo credit.
Yeah, because the point is that you feel burned because you did all this work and they posted the photo and there's no credit and you're like, and it feels like a missed opportunity or a wasted opportunity and they don't photo credit you. So your 2 options, right? You can either, message that client who loves their photos and are excited and remind them that they're wrong because they didn't credit you.
Which doesn't feel good.
No.
For them.
Or you can do sneaky photo credit. And then you can comment.
We like sneaky photo
and say, hey, we love getting you in front of our camera. And guess what? It fulfills the exact same purpose because everybody who sees that photo is going to see those comments. And then they're all going to see who the photographer was. And so one way or another, you're going to get that photo credit. And so we would do that.
And bonus, it's a positive comment for them. Right. So who doesn't like getting comments on their photos? It's like one extra fun comment on their photo. So they normally really like that. We find that a lot of our clients do love to give photo credit just because they're excited about their photos. But when they miss it, we just do sneaky photo credit by liking it, commenting, and that works really well for us.
Okay, last question is from Hannah. What advice can you give to someone who wants to shoot weddings but hasn't done one yet? It's such a big deal, and I'm afraid clients won't even ask me because I don't have the experience. And while Amy answers this question about getting into weddings, this is your last chance, guys, to click that link and make sure that you have it so you can get enrolled in the AJ Business Course at the special, exclusive webinar price. Do that right now. If you haven't,
sure it's open on your screen.
Click it, open it so that it's there. I don't want you guys to miss out on this exciting opportunity. And we already have so many people, as we've been sharing, who are diving into the course, and that's not even everybody. And so we're just pumped to have you guys there, and we want to see you in there too. And so click that link, make sure it's open so you have it. And I'm gonna let Amy take it away.
So to answer your question about getting into weddings when you've never done a wedding before, our best advice is wedding days are very different than portrait sessions, and they're a once in a lifetime day. There are no do-overs on weddings. So it's really important to take the wedding day seriously. And so our best advice is to make sure that you have on the job real wedding day experience before you're the lead shooter. So that can look a couple different ways. At the beginning, that could be simply assisting a wedding where you're not even shooting. Maybe you're not second shooting. Maybe you're not third shooting. Maybe you're just carrying bags. My very first wedding experience, I contacted a photographer and said, I would love to carry your bags, work for free, get you water. I basically tried to add value to that photographer's life so that I could see what it was like to be at a real wedding. And quickly that photographer took me under his wing and continued to bring me to weddings, allowed me to second shoot and get on the job experience without the pressure of being the first shooter. And that is our biggest piece of advice for anyone looking to get into weddings, is make sure you get on the job training by working at weddings where you are not the lead photographer. The more of that you can get, the better. And the bonus of this is you can start to build a wedding day related portfolio and make sure you're in agreement with the lead shooter and figure out the terms of that. But a lot of photographers will allow you to use those images in your portfolio to show potential clients your photography. And then my last piece of advice is be honest with your clients when it's time for you to take the lead for the first time in a wedding and you have someone interested in that. Make sure you let them know, I've had a lot of experience at weddings, second shooting weddings. Here's my work. This will be my first time lead shooting a wedding, but I'm, really excited. I feel confident about this. And that is the best way to be open and transparent, and also make sure that you have the experience, because there are no do-overs in weddings. And so we want to make sure that everybody that is at a wedding has a really good grasp on what a wedding day is like, because the light's going to change constantly, the timeline, there's so many things that are different than a portrait session. So that's my best, quickest advice on that.
And so I just, real fast before we go, if you haven't clicked the link, click the link. I want to just say welcome to Abigail, Catherine, and Wendy. We are so pumped to have you guys in the AJ Business Course. Last chance, guys, click the link. Open up that window. We would love to see you guys in the business course. Remember, webinar only, special exclusive price, $497, one time, unlimited access, lifetime access for you guys to go through all 8 modules, all 30 hours of content, all 80 plus lessons with us to help you guys move toward the photography business of your dreams. And we just want to say real fast, thank you guys from the bottom of our heart, for being willing to give your time so that we could spend some time together and do some cool stuff learning about photography.
And thanks for all your awesome questions. Yeah. Those were so many great questions. Thank you so much for all the sweet, amazing things that you're saying in the chats. They really mean so much to us. We've just really loved our time with you guys. We're just so excited for everyone who's joining the business course. Make sure, if you haven't clicked that link yet, click it right now so that you've got that open so that you can take advantage of that special. Yeah. But thank you guys so much.
Yeah, you guys are the reason we do this. And so we just wanted to say thank you for your time. And we really hope we get to see you in the business course real soon. So with that,
have a good one.
See you guys later. Bye.